in order to find real freedom, real bliss, real happiness, we have to be willing to rebel from society. Like, we have to be willing to cast off everything we've been taught culturally, and we have to be willing to do very deep inner work on ourselves to basically like root out some of these beliefs that we've been conditioned to believe that actually lead to misery. Because if you stop and think about it, if Western society really knew anything about happiness, like if everything we've been taught about happiness was true, then why is America one of the most miserable countries based on surveys? And why are we in the middle of like this a mental health crisis like we've never seen before? Like, it's worse than ever before. So you have to really stop and think about it, like that most of what we've been taught to believe is a lie. It's a lie, you know. And I'll like Yogananda says America is materially wealthy but spiritually poor. And I just want to start with some myth busting. Like, myth, money makes you happy. False. It actually doesn't. There's a lot of studies showing like if you're making something like 75,000, anything more than that doesn't increase your happiness at all. In fact, your happiness has everything to do with the state of your nervous system. And I'm going to share more about like what actually causes happiness. Another myth, having stuff makes you happy. No, it doesn't. How many times have you bought your new purse, your new car, whatever, and you have like 5 minutes of pleasure and then it's over and then your brain says, oh, I need this next kind of carrot to make me happy. Again, lies, false. Next, masculine energy and hustling makes you happy. Like, attaining success makes you happy. False. Because when you're in that hamster wheel mindset, so taken from somebody who's been in there a lot, you never are able to slow down and enjoy life. Like, great, you achieve all these things, you have, you know, all the money, all the houses, all the everything, but you're still unhappy. And I work with a lot of people that are kind of disillusioned because they come to the end of the rainbow. They're like making tons of money. They're like, I'm still not happy. Because guess what? It doesn't matter how much money you have, how many things you have, how much success you have. Again, it's the state of your nervous system. It's the state of your internal state is what actually dictates your happiness. That last myth, being independent makes you happy. Oh my God. This one is just so ridiculous. Like, America's like one of the most independent countries. Like, we think we can do everything on our own. We have pride and like, oh, I have my own house and my own ha-ha. And like, you know, it's just nonsense. Like, cultures where people are more intimately connected are much happier. And so that's one of the things I want to talk about. What actually makes us happy? Being intimately connected with people. Like, having community, having loving community, close families, close-knit ties, that you can truly rely on people. And this happens through authenticity and vulnerability. You know, this is the thing I've learned over and over again in my life is like, when I'm willing to be authentic, to be vulnerable, to be held, to be open, to receive love from people, then I find happiness. My nervous system feels safe. We're not designed to do life alone. And this is one of the biggest lies in Western culture is it's just like, and you can see it everywhere. I mean, people are more isolated than ever. Things are bad. Like, things are bad, myself included. Working from home every day alone in my house has had an impact on my own mental health. And I'm like, this has to stop now. Like, I'm going through this myself too, you know. And so the other thing, what's the next thing that makes us happy? Being intimately connected with God, with Source, with Universe, whatever you believe. The important thing is that we actually find inner stillness. And again, this is about the nervous system. This is why I'm such an advocate of meditation, of prayer, of being in nature, because it allows us to find a sense of inner stillness. And then inside of that stillness, we can connect to something broader. We connect to our purpose. We connect to that kind of deep inner voice of intuition that's guiding us in life. But as long as we are, so we're running around, we're busy, we're crowding it out. Again, we're on that hamster wheel. We're unhappy, we can feel something's off, but we have no access to it. So it actually really takes slowing down. And the last part of real happiness is being intimately connected with ourselves. And this is one of the hardest things, to be honest. It's like, can we truly love ourselves? Can we truly embrace ourselves? Like, unconditionally? Like, can we have our own back? Can we have compassion? Can we approve of ourselves? Even when things are difficult, even when we make mistakes, even when we're not where we would want to be, can we, in those moments, have that kind of loving intimacy? And this, again, is something I'm deeply at work on in myself. And it takes practice. Like, naturally, we're so just mean to ourselves, you know? We're like kind of abusive. We're like, you idiot, you know, you're no good. You're, you know, this and that, you know, or the flip side is we have delusions of grandeur and we think we're like the, you know, the greatest thing since sliced bread. But the reality is, you know, we are who we are and we're not who we're not. And can we love ourselves inside of that? You know, can we tend to ourselves? And that's where a lot of happiness comes from, because again, it's nervous system safety. This is what I'm learning so much about this past year, is that the quality of our lives is dictated by our nervous system. So if we're intimately connected with others, intimately connected with God, intimately connected with ourselves, our nervous system can remain in kind of a state of stillness, and that's what leads to these moments of bliss, this experience of freedom, this experience of flow and power. You know, I've traveled to more than 30 countries, and I'll never forget sitting in this hut in India, in this farming village where people had no electricity, no possessions. They literally just had nothing, no money. And they were some of the happiest people I've ever met in my entire life. Like, they were just like overjoyed all the time. They were intimately connected as a community. They were intimately connected to nature, you know, because when there's no electricity, you just go to sleep when the sun goes down, and you just wake up when the sun comes up, and that's our healthiest, most natural rhythm, you know. And on the other hand, I've met very successful, very rich people who are miserable. Like, they have this insatiable hunger and drive, and they're always trying to fill it with like cigarettes or cocaine or other drugs or travel or flashy possessions. But again, it's like there's not a correlation between money and possessions and happiness. It's just false. It's false, and we've been taught to believe it, and it's a lie, you know. And I've experienced so much evidence to the contrary. You know, every time I go to kind of a, like, you know, I don't know if we're allowed to call them developing countries anymore or whatever, but a place where people have less, they're just like happier. Like they I don't know how to explain it. I mean, I'm working on it because it's so important. I want to be able to explain this, but anyway, I'll probably pause here and just say, you know, I want to cause like a love revolution. Join the revolution, like getting back to basics, like, you know, going to bed when the sun comes down and moving our bodies and being connected to nature and being connected to ourselves, and like kind of returning to how humans have lived for the last 200,000 years, because things have gotten excessive. Like, things have gotten kind of ugly here, and it's not working, you know, and we've got to start to tell the truth about that. Like, this isn't working. And, you know, if you want to join my love revolution, like, that's what a lot of what I do is I just teach people how to be connected to other people. Like, I create these safe spaces where people can be intimate, can be vulnerable, can be profoundly connected, can have that loving, supportive community. And I teach people how to be connected to God, to develop spiritually, to find that stillness. I teach people a lot of meditation, prayer, and teach people to love themselves, you know, like shifting these beliefs that we have about ourselves to really honor ourselves, to love ourselves, to feel safe in our bodies, to feel happy. And, you know, that can be especially difficult for people like me who have experienced trauma or deal with anxiety. But it's possible. And it's possible even when things are ugly and even when things are difficult. So anyway, if you want to learn any more about these programs, just send me a message, book time on my calendar. I've got a link in my bio, and I'd love to talk to you. Love you.